How's everybody doing? This is going to be take 2. The microphone wasn't working, and I didn't know that, so take 2 on this Samurai Sunday. So let's see what you guys got for Samurai Sunday. It could be anything. Samurai. It could be about your favorite knife, sword, spear, whatever. We'll start with that. Your favorite knife that you have in your collection. Let's start with that. You're probably wondering, some of you, why are you wearing a skirt? Not a skirt, actually. The hakama. We wear it because it's traditional. I just don't have the top on because it's too damn hot. But hakama actually translates to loose trouser, because there are legs to it. So maybe I'll do a video on that. Actually, I've talked about why they have it, so I won't. But today's video is about Niten Ichi Ryu. What is Niten Ichi Ryu? It is the art of wielding 2 swords at the same time. Well, there's pros and cons to it. Pros, you're wielding 2 very sharp objects at your opponent. A con for it is you're wielding 2 sharp objects at your opponent. Now, why would that be tough? Because if your opponent has both his hands on his sword and you only have one on the other, he can blow through your defense a lot easier. We have to be mindful of that and quick. So you can still block properly and not have him blow right through your sword, your defense, knock your sword out of the way and get you. So that's why I say it's a pro and a con. So the number one thing I can stress the most, if anybody wants to try it, is safety, 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 safety. I've seen video fails of this, really, really bad. Real bad fails where the person's had 2 swords and he's like this, and he comes up like that and sliced right into the underside of his forearm. Bad. So, I'm not an expert, first off, in Niten Ichi Ryu. I know a very, very basic move. From my understanding, it can get very, very complicated. But from what I was shown, this is a very easy one to do, and you can perform cuts on mats, probably water balls too. And the best way to do it is to learn how to do it stationary, and then start adding in footwork to it. So first off, we've got to draw both swords. I see, and I'm not saying you're wrong, it depends on the school. The way I'm taught, we don't reach over like this and draw out the walkie with the left hand. The reason being is this is the target, okay, for your opponent. So if your hand is right here and you already have the katana drawn out, and you come over like this to draw this out, your opponent's going to do everything he can to get this arm. Because this is over here. Now you got to turn your body. You still have one hand, and this goes into he could blow right through your defense and get you. So we're taught never ever that. And if I draw this sword out left-handed, it's extremely, the tip is really close to my body. Whereas if I can quickly just draw it out the right hand. Okay. So how do I draw 2 swords? So first off, I'll take this and I'll put it like that. Of course, you want to pop your sleeve. You don't just want to yank your sword down to the side, but sometimes you do. And when I grab this sword, I'm just grabbing it with my thumb and my forefinger. So that way I don't have a tight grip on it. So if anything goes wrong, I can drop the sword and then quickly just pull them out. So now I got both my swords out. So from this point, how I would spot this basic move. This one, and you can do it left or right, doesn't matter how you want to start, is going to come up here. So this is out of my way. This one's going to go by my kick. So none of my body parts are out here, but close to me, which makes it harder for the enemy. He has to get a little bit closer. So this sword can be defense or a strike. So we would do a defense, knock his sword out of the way. This sword comes back. Then you would cut, come do an upward cut. It comes back. This sword comes out now, and then cuts your opponent again, and you're back where you started. So it's very, very simple movement. And you could do this. You could do this movement with machetes. You could do it probably with Bowie knives, really large knives. You can do it. The main focus, no matter how you do it, one of these arms has to be out of the way. They cannot. If you're doing a slash like this, you don't want this arm in your way. Okay? So one of them's got to be out of the way. How would you do it if you're going to move forward? Now, some of them, they have it like this, because there is some trickery to it. And a lot of times you have your sword out like this. Well, you're open, but you can still swoop and you still cut. So, like I said, it can get a little bit complicated. And you have to be quick when you're using two swords, because both your hands are full. You can only get so much power with one hand, compared to someone that has both their hands on their sword. So movement-wise, if you have the swords drawn out, you're going to totally turn your body, same position, everything is tucked in. The nice thing about this, I have a cat here, make good thing, this one's not sharp. This is the practice one, so this is dull. This one is actually sharp there. If you have somebody coming up from behind, you can kind of defend yourself. I'm not going to get into that. So, if you're going to move forward, you're going to either defend or attack with the first sword. So you come up, hit, step, cut, cut. This goes back. I'm going to step back and do another attack. Now I'm back where I started. The same starting point. And you can do this practice going forward and backward. So then, strike, 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 step forward, strike, come back, strike, and so on and so forth. So that's a simple way of doing Niten Ichi Ryu. The simplest that I know, myself, like I said, I'm not an expert in it at all, but it can be very, very effective. It's just, like I said, I can't emphasize, I know I keep repeating myself, safety, safety, safety. That, and when you do it that way, getting used to pulling this sword back, and you're cutting with this sword, because you can cut, 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 and both swords out of the way. You avoid hitting your swords. Okay? That's the biggest mistake a lot of people do too when they're trying to learn how to do it. They wind up hitting those swords together. And then taking nicks out of the back or out of their edges. So the best way to do is start really slow and get comfortable with it. Because like my left hand, because I'm right-handed, is like a flipper sometimes. So you, like I said, take it slow. Try not to use sharp. Try not to use like razor sharp. Because it doesn't take much for one of these to cut you. Just a downward hit, and it will cut you if it's sharp enough. One of the moves that we're taught in tension here, if you're one-handed and you're trying to make a quick strike, you roll the sword like this, smack it down. And that's going to embed it right into you. So please, everyone out there, if you want to try it, that is a simple way of doing it. Take it extremely slow at first until you get comfortable with it. I'm still not comfortable with it just because of that. I mean, it's awkward feeling, especially when you start moving. And the reason why we turn our body each time is now it's a harder target to hit. That's why in martial arts, boxing, you turn your body. It's a harder target to hit. So that's what I have for you guys for Samurai Sunday. Hopefully it was insightful, especially for those who are wondering how you do it, what it might be. Could you do it with like regular, like knives, like Bowie knives, fixed blade? Absolutely, you can. Just don't think that, because it's so small, it's not like the length of these, that I'll be okay. Because what happens is, like all of us, we get complacent. When we get complacent, we get overconfident, and that's when accidents happen. So still, take it slow. Be mindful where one arm is compared to the other arm is doing. Because, like I said, I've seen some really bad fails on YouTube, and they weren't pretty. I just want to make sure everybody is safe when you perform Niten Ichi Ryu. Okay, because it can be dangerous. It's dangerous enough just using a regular big fixed blade and a sword. All right, because let's face it, like I said, we all get complacent. We get too comfortable sometimes. So we need to try and keep that mindset of it's a sharp object and I need to be careful. Like people say, I practice with the live edge, so I don't get complacent. All my swords I practice with a dull sword first. Why? Because I have respect for this. And I know you can wind up getting complacent. If I do a mistake with this, one, I don't get hurt. Two, I'm upset with myself because I should have known better. Okay? But I'm not severely hurt. Treat it like you treat a firearm, even if it's unloaded. That way, you do not make a mistake. But, I mean, they still do happen. I'm not going to say nobody does it. I still do it all the time. But I always suggest people, when you're first learning, especially if you're learning how to draw, all that, try and use, even get a cheap boken. Bokens have gotten really cheap. If you want to practice with other people, Niten Ichi Ryu, and you use bokens, you still have to be careful. Pretty much good bokens that you can get, for around $30 to $50, $60 are made out of oak. And that's some hard wood. You get hurt. You're going to break a bone. You have to learn to control it, when to stop it, so your opponent doesn't get hurt. That's why I always tell people, take it extremely slow at first. Don't try and do it fast. Our instructor in Tension U says, do everything slow at first. Speed comes naturally. The more you do it, the faster you get, the faster you get. Without realizing it, it's muscle memory. So that's what I have for you guys. Hopefully everyone's having a great Sunday. I know it sucks. Tomorrow's Monday. Most of us have to go to work. And it's a real bummer, but I only have to work 4 days this week. Woo! Taking Friday off because our youngest daughter is graduating high school Friday. So kudos to her. She even got her first job. So talk to you guys all